Later tonight, the Phoenix Suns are going to be taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves live at Target Arena in Minnesota on Bally Sports Arizona and NBA League Pass if you have it. A couple key things that I'll take you through before tonight's game. To preview the game, the Suns, they are third in three-point percentage, so they continue to shoot the three ball well. They didn't last game against Denver, as they only shot 28%, but that's some key things to look for in today's game as they take on a Minnesota Timberwolves team that actually does a good job with field goal percentages in their own right. They're really good at the two-point game, specifically being in the top 5 of that category, top 3 in the field goal percentage category. The Suns rebound a little better than they do, but the key things to look for in tonight's game and the key thing to see is, will Anthony Edwards play? Anthony Edwards is questionable today with a hip injury, and that could be a key thing to see what the deciding factor is for this game, as the Suns are getting back DeAndre Ayton from an ankle injury, and the Suns bench role players have been playing really well as of late. I know they got blown out by Denver, but they had a great outing against the Golden State Warriors this past Tuesday. So getting DeAndre Ayton back against a Minnesota Timberwolves team that struggles to rebound, and that has its ups and downs lately in the defensive end, could bode well for the Phoenix Suns this evening. Let's go ahead and go to the odds for today's game, as the Timberwolves are favored, rightfully so, at -5.5. I think a lot of that has to do with whether Anthony Edwards plays. I think if Anthony Edwards doesn't play, the minus probably goes lower towards 4.5. But Anthony Edwards is that kind of player, so it's going to be key to see what happens in that realm to see if he can play. As according to the over and under, the game is set at 223.5. I like those over under odds. I expect a score around the edge of a 110 to 102 to possibly happen in today's game, going into tonight's matchup between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. So for my predictions, I actually have the Phoenix Suns in an upset tonight, as I have them beating the Minnesota Timberwolves 110 to 102. I think we're going to have a good game from Mikal Bridges. I think he's going to shoot the ball really well. And if Mikal Bridges can do what he does and score 17 or more points, which he hasn't for the most part of the season, but if he can get a good shooting performance like I'm calling him to do today, I think that'll bode well for guys like Dwayne Washington Jr., Dario Saric, DeAndre Ayton himself, Jock Landale, the list goes on and on. The Phoenix Suns will be without Landry Shamet, Cameron Payne, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker, as they're all still out with injuries. But a key note for future reference is Cameron Johnson. There's a report that came out earlier today about Jay Crowder, but in that report, Cameron Johnson talked with Bleacher Report article and journalists, and he said that he could return January 19th, as soon as January 19th, from his right torn meniscus injury. So that's a key thing to look ahead for this upcoming week, as the Suns are getting a little bit healthy. Fingers crossed for your Suns fan, but they're getting a little bit healthy at the later portion of the season, which could bode well for them to go on a little late run to make the playoffs. But until then, reporting from Phoenix, Arizona, I'm Franklin Miller with Burn City Sports.